Welcome to Going to this podcast, but we haven't quite decided yet. We're going to keep doing it anyway. I'm Colby.
And it's me, Weenie in the Butt in the morning, 12 a.m. on DC9 FM. But you can call me Fee.
DC9, famously known as the 9th radio station for Washington, D.C. They were like, we really don't have any other ideas.
I honestly, I haven't listened to radio in so long, I really didn't know, the letters at the end. I should have said, 1092 or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, they almost always start with a W or a K, I think because of legal standards, and then it's three other letters, and then
W stands for,
and then
W
some numbers.
stands for radio.
Yeah, it stands for either wadio or cradio. It's true.
No, it's wadio and car radio. Wadio.
Oh, see, got it. Okay. Yeah, once cars started having radios, they were like, we really need to make sure that people know that this is just for the car.
And they use K for car, like Mortal Kombat. They use Mortal Kombat rules.
Yeah, all of this is making a lot of sense now.
See, people think that I don't know things, but let me tell you, I know things.
Okay. Hey, let me tell you.
No, I know stuff.
I know things. You know.
You'd be surprised about how many things I know.
Ooh,
dang.
The things. All the things I know.
So, what I wanted to talk about today, and before the podcast, I had Colby watch the Resident Evil trailer that dropped yesterday and today, I believe. So I want to talk about that and my strong opinions about it,
okay.
And some other stuff, probably anime. I've been watching a lot of anime.
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
let's,
makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, what else am I gonna do? And don't say work.
Listen, the answer is never work.
No, stupid. So let's get into this Resident Evil trailer.
Yeah.
It takes place current day, and none of it makes sense, and I hate it.
Yes. Okay. I'm really glad that we had the same reaction to it because I was watching it and I was like, wow, this reminds me a lot of the Mila Jovovich version of Resident Evil, but less campy, which means that it's worse.
Yeah. So it's not. They put Resident Evil on it, and it's not Resident Evil at all. So it looks okay. So before I get into this, it looks good. The action looks good. It looks fun, but it is not Resident Evil. It doesn't make me feel Resident Evil, in the slightest.
Yeah, this is definitely, this seems like a post-apocalyptic movie that someone wrote, and then they, pitched it a whole bunch, and then eventually, one of their partners was like, you know what would really make sense is if you retrofitted this to be a Resident Evil thing. And they were like, oh, yeah, that could make sense. Okay. And then that's how this happened.
Because Resident Evil has zombies, so, I mean, why not?
To
mention, we could...
Put zombies. You've got this zombie movie, and then Netflix is like, all right, we just need any zombie script. That one's fine, good enough. Get in there.
Okay, so there was a leak script for Resident Evil last year, I think, or a year or two ago, and everything they said in the leak script showed off in the trailer, which doesn't leave me hoping for a lot because there's a lot of drastic changes, and sometimes I'm okay with them, and others I'm not. Like this one where, okay, if you had to describe Albert Wesker, how would you describe him?
Professional, I would say. Like a professional lunatic.
Okay.
That's what I would go, like a sociopath, like a spooky man with his spooky sunglasses.
Yeah, a tall, pale white man with sunglasses that he wears any time of the day, in house or not, and he has slick back blonde hair.
Yeah.
And he's muscular and buff. And he has the T virus in him. That's why his eyes glow red. That's why he wears sunglasses. And he can't be trusted. And
despite my favorite thing about Wesker is, by the way, like as the game series goes on, they bring Wesker back a number of times, and every time you're like, I don't know, maybe Wesker's on the good side this time, but it's literally never the case.
Yeah, no, never. And he likes to wear black. He wears a black trench coat. And that's what you think of him. A guy who has his custom samurai pistol. And
samurai
is just
pistol, can't believe it.
Yeah, that's what it's called, samurai, dude.
Ridiculous.
And exactly. But in this one, in the trailer, I don't know if you noticed it, but that black guy with the glasses that was bald with his 2 daughters.
Oh, wait, that was Wesker?
That is Wesker.
Because I thought this whole time, there's like, I'm looking at the trailer right now, and 41 seconds in, there's this white man with long hair, and he's wearing some blue sunglasses, and I was like, man, this is like hippie Wesker. That's interesting.
No, it's the black guy, because that was leaked in the script, that he is now Wesker, and those 2 I think one of the girls is his and one's adopted, and they have nothing to do with the franchise. And they're the protagonists.
Okay, so he's like the one that's doing the experiments on the rats. Like, what they're saying here is that like Wesker made the T virus, you know?
Yeah, but it's not the T virus in this show. It's Joy.
Yeah.
It's called Joy. It's called Joy. So there is no T virus. So apparently, since it's current day, I guess, did the T virus happen already? And I guess they got over it. And now...
Yeah. That makes you wonder, especially like if he's supposed to be Wesker. It's got to be different, right? This just has to be like a different timeline or like
this is a different universe altogether.
Yeah.
This is a different universe altogether, because like Wesker was killed in Africa in a volcano.
Was that Resident Evil 6?
That was Resident Evil 5.
Man.
That was when Chris was punching the rock.
Man, it's so funny that like Resident Evil has this like really notorious thing where, like the first 3 don't count, but everyone after that is like 4, awesome, 5, 6, no thank you, 7,
5
yeah,
is good.
great, lovely, 8, pretty good, and then I guarantee you 9's gonna come out and people are gonna be like, well, this is fucking stupid. Why are we doing
unless they do more of the same, that first person survival element.
I mean, you say that, but like whenever they came back, like, so Resident Evil 4 came out and it was more of like an action RPG kind of thing, like,
yeah,
and then they started to lean
that.
more into that, and it turned it basically into fucking Gears of War, and and like it got really boring and bland. Like Resident Evil 5 is one of the ugliest games I've ever seen. Everything is just yellow. It's fucking shitty. Like it reminds me of 2008 when everything was brown.
Okay, so like they're in Africa, so of course it's yellow. It's like Mexico. It's yellow.
Yeah, Mexico's just yellow. We all have watched Breaking Bad, right?
Yeah, we all know fucking Mexico's yellow. So I'm gonna be frank with you. I've only beaten 2 Resident Evil games out of the whole franchise, even though I've seen gameplay of all of them and seen them end and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm lying. I've beaten 3, but 1 doesn't count.
Wait, what? Which one doesn't count?
Well, hold on. I'll get there. Hold your horses.
Okay, I'm here. I'm sorry.
So I beat Resident Evil 5.
Okay.
That was the first Resident Evil I ever beaten. And it's not bad. It's like Resident Evil 4. Except you got a stupid AI with you that holds all your things. That's the cool thing about the game.
That's the differentiating feature that people are gonna love.
Yeah, and you never have them hold herbs, because then they just use them whenever. So you just have them hold all your stuff.
Jesus.
But I beat that game, and it wasn't bad. It was good. It was a good game, I thought. And then I beat Resident Evil 6, where it was all those stories where it got like really weird and actiony, where you can play as Leon, Chris, Jake, Wesker, and Ada in a I didn't beat the Ada one, but I beat the Leon and the Chris one, and the game's fun. It didn't feel like Resident Evil really. Like, it really didn't. But it was fun. It was fun. I'll give it that.
See, I think that's really interesting because your concept of what is and isn't Resident Evil is sort of colored by Resident Evil 5, which is widely regarded as the most meh version in the series.
It is kind of meh, but I mean, it was a nice fun little playthrough. I mean, I didn't say I couldn't say I had a bad time with it. I thought it was okay. They introduced Sheva and never brought her back in anything.
Man, yeah, by the way, so I've only played and I guess also beat. I've only played and beat Resident Evil Code Veronica, of all things, because it came out on Dreamcast. And so, yeah, I had it on Dreamcast and it was fucking sick. I was like, man, Resident Evil's great. And then I looked at what like Resident Evil 1 was and I was like, oh, that sucks. And so I never went back. I was like, I'm just not going to do it. I watched someone play Resident Evil 3 and they were like, yeah, this is just like, it's not as scary because they like went really over the top with Nemesis and because like, you know, the first one
story.
Yeah, for sure. Like the story gets kind of wild in a number of places, as Resident Evil is wont to do.
Yeah, well, they introduced like a choice system in Resident Evil 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they have it inside of Resident Evil 2 as well, like where you can choose to like go through one side or another, and
if you on the PlayStation you got 2 discs, the Leon disc and the Claire disc.
Yeah. In the remake, I don't know if it's in the original, but they actually have like a B-side as well. So you can do like Path A with Leon and Path A with Claire, and then Path B with Leon and Path B with Claire.
I stopped playing the remake. I got too scared.
I was too scared.
I was too scared. But I remember as a kid having all 3 Resident Evils because my brother would play them. I don't think he beat them, or if he did, I never saw him beat them. But I remember having them, and I couldn't solve the puzzles, so I just couldn't. I would just waste all the ammo shooting zombies and ran around until I died.
Hell yeah. That's the way to do it, baby.
The other game I beat as a kid was Resident Evil Survivor, which is a non-canon first-person game. It's not on the rails. It's just first-person for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it has nothing to do with anything. And I bought it because it was like on sale for $10 at Kmart, I think.
Yeah, my friend that I watched play Resident Evil 3 also had Resident Evil Survivor and was like, yeah, this kind of sucks. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you.
You have unlimited ammo, so that's really fun, like in the handgun. So you just go through the game just wailing on people, just boom, boom, boom. But and it's like they reuse a lot of assets from like all the games, but it's bad. I tried to like find a redeeming quality, but it's not good.
Yeah, the thing is, like, what Resident Evil is evolves every 3 games so far, like in the mainline series, because it's like a survival horror game to start off with. For the first like 3 games, it's like, you're in a mansion, you can't move very fast, your ammo's very low, everything's gonna kill you.
Yeah, the atmosphere is very good in 1 and 2. Like they set the tone and it's really good. Yeah, even as a kid, I don't know if like you can like look it up on YouTube if you have it pulled up, but the Resident Evil Capcom logo used to scare me.
Oh yeah, it's like, really good. A lot of stuff like even the old like the original Japanese like Biohazard stuff, like all of it is really spooky.
Dude. And then the startup menu where it's just like the monster coming up to the guy and he's like,
he's like, boo.
and despite what everyone says, the live action cutscene for Resident Evil 1 is vastly superior to them animating it. So
Yeah, I mean,
that's my opinion.
to be fair, like whenever you have like live actors doing things inside of a video game, at the very least, it's funny.
Yeah,
But then like
they look silly.
if you have like horrific voice acting with like 4 pixels of animation, it's like ugh. I don't
That
need
was the
this in my
case with
life.
Resident Evil 1. You had the bad live action, which was cheesy, which made it good. It definitely, the tone was shifted after that. But then you have like cheesy bad voice acting.
Well, the thing is, like, it sort of, again, like I've watched other people play this. It's interesting that it switches between those two pretty seamlessly because it'll have this really weird, goofy, awful cutscene, and then like you laughing about it like wears off within maybe 20 seconds because it's just abject silence and the sound of footsteps, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah, dude, that used to scare me. I don't know, like I was a kid. And I'm playing in my room by myself, and I'm constantly like looking over my shoulder. I'm like, and just hearing the and then the doors like opening. Just, I don't know why. Like it was scary.
Yeah, I mean it did a really good job of setting up an atmosphere and then sticking with it. Like it's Resident Evil. For those first 3 games is really good, but like the whole, it's the first one is honestly the peak of that, and then the second one sort of takes it further with the introduction of Mr. X, that's like unkillable guy that will just show up out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, in the original, he didn't just follow you through like he did in the remake, like everywhere. He showed up at certain points. But the remake, it's a lot scarier because you can hear him walking and opening doors, and you're just like, I'm out of ammo. What? I'm like, what's the puzzle?
Jesus, help me!
At least that was me, because I'm like, where do I gotta go? I gotta pass him. I can't.
Yeah, I've seen a number of people play through the remake, and it's always funny to just have someone turn the corner and be like, oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, God, he's right there. Help me.
Oh, I hate it. It's terrifying. But no one can know, as the story's not even really convoluted if you fucking get down to it, but no one can put it to film, which to me it seems like an easy thing to do. Takes place in 1989. Do a TV show. This Netflix show could have been about them going through the house and figuring out like what's going on, figuring out who was the owner of the house, maybe doing some puzzles like from the game.
I was about to bring that up. In fact, what I was going to say is, don't you fucking tell me that you would watch somebody attempt to solve a puzzle on a TV show and be like, oh, I need to backtrack to the previous room and go get the ruby gem and put it inside of the cat's eye. Like, that shit's like, boring.
They don't have to do like those, but like finding of course, like have them walk through the halls to try to like pick up clues and figure out what's going on while fighting the zombies, but also have them fight the big snake, or have them fight the shark. Or,
yeah, that makes sense. And you've also got the
big plant creature.
You've got the iconic from Resident Evil 1 dog jumping through the window and just scaring the shit out of you scene. Yeah. Like, very classic.
Or like you go to that weird room with the art where all the, I think it's crows, or are they bees?
God, I do not remember. It has been
bees
a while.
Bees are an enemy. But I know you got to put the paintings in the right order, I think, or you got to shine the light on all of them. But just have you go through the halls finding like your dead crew members and like slowly figuring out what's going on, and then have where like Barry betrays you because Wesker has his daughter, and then like you slowly figuring out that, oh, Wesker is evil. He was one of the scientists, and then you find the picture of him in a scientist coat, still wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, he's God. They really knocked it out of the park with Wesker with that one particular thing, because they were like, this is what Wesker looks like. Yes, all the time. No, there are no exceptions. And as a result, you have this character that can show up in basically any game. You know what he's going to look like.
Yeah.
And you know, like, sort of what his silhouette looks like. You know that he's an asshole. Like,
Yeah. You know, like, he sounds fucking snobby. Fucking... and then he'll beat your ass.
Mm-hmm. And then in most games, you end up beating his ass and being like, yeah, I finally killed him, but you didn't.
Yeah, but you didn't. And then he'll come back and, like, throw missiles at you with his bare hands.
Yeah, he's like Xehanort.
Basically.
He just can't die.
Except in part 5, he died.
Yeah, except in part 5, when he really died. All the way up until Resident Evil 9. Then he's back, baby.
Then they used Wesker cells and put the T virus and the G virus together and brought him back.
Mm-hmm. Now he's tag Wesker. That's the T and the G make the That's how it works.
He's Weskag tag.
Wesk tag.
I got nothing. but that the game is like that. Like, it can be cheesy, but also it's clearly, like, it has atmosphere. But no TV show or movie has got that. Welcome to Raccoon City was close, but it got the characters very wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you probably haven't seen the movie, right?
No, I would never.
So, me and my sister are big Resident Evil fans, and we went to go see it in theaters, me and her. And we thought it was a good movie, and I didn't, like, want to hurt her feelings, because it's a good movie, but boy, did they get, a lot of characters wrong, and they mishmashed part 1 and 2 together in a bad way. But it was better than any Resident Evil movie or whatever that's come out. But, like, because they made Leon just a bumbling idiot in the movie.
I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. I've seen people play Resident Evil 2. He is definitely an idiot. I don't know that he's bumbling though.
No, he's an idiot, but, like, not to, like, that degree. Like, I wouldn't say an idiot. He's more like of, well, I don't want to do that, or
he's not like a Launchpad McQuack.
Yeah, he's like, zombie apocalypse is going on, and in the game, there's a guy in the jail cell, and he's like, well, I don't think I should let you out. The chief wouldn't like that. Do you know what's going on?
That'd be a real bad idea, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
guys, like, don't. Are you kidding me right now? You're just gonna leave me here to die? No, it'll be fine tomorrow, well, maybe next week or something.
I don't want to lose my job.
Yeah, listen, I need this paycheck. I just got an apartment.
But so, like, that was the thing. Also, the way they made stars in that movie was dumb, because STARS stands for Special Tactic and Rescue Squad. They're like a special, like, tactical team that gets sent out to go do stuff. In the movie, they're just a small group of people in the police force that are called STARS for no reason. They're like, all right, STARS, Alpha Team, which is just 2 police officers, and Delta Team which is the Jill and Wesker and who else? I forget. But they're in the movie.
Chris is somewhere. Chris is always somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Chris is also in the team. And it's just, it's not great. And it's a good movie. Don't get me wrong. It's just, it gets everything backwards and wrong.
So it's just like, it's just like mischaracterizing people. What it sounds like is that somebody read the script to Resident Evil, but didn't play the game and didn't really understand who these people were.
I feel like they played the game, but had the TV muted and didn't hear any of the dialogue.
Yeah, they speed read it, and they're like, no, I get this, I got it.
Because there's like a point in the movie where Leon's at the office table, because he doesn't get there after everything has happened. He's already there, and then the zombie apocalypse happens, which is wrong. And then he's chilling, listening to like his CD player on his headphones, on his 89 headphones, and then a fucking truck crashes through the cage in the front door, and a man comes inside burning into the thing, and he's just like kind of sleeping, doesn't see or hear anything.
My God.
Until like he finally opened his eyes, and he was like, "Oh man, what's going on?"
He goes, "Whoa, sir! You gotta calm it down there. What seems to be the issue? Man on fire."
We gotta wait till my chief gets back.
You stay right there, mister.
So I just didn't like how they did Leon in that movie. Actor was okay, but he, like, if they made him to be out like a better person, it would have been better. And then they gave Claire and Chris this weird backstory where they were being experimented on as children by Umbrella, and then they escaped. And then
why is that always the case? Why do people just want to be like, you know what, we got to spice up this person's backstory? Yeah, they've got some childhood trauma.
Yeah,
cool.
And then
nice.
They're just like, oh, we're gonna put this Easter egg in the movie. Do you remember that one letter you find in Resident Evil Part 1 where you pick it up and then it's this guy who's just jotting down his day-to-day after he was bitten?
Oh,
and
yeah,
then, the last page he was just like, oh, itchy, scratchy, hungry.
Yeah.
So Jill breaks into Chris's house because she doesn't know what's going on, and she came back to Raccoon City, and she's like going through the house and like gonna wait for him, but the neighbor is like turning into a zombie, and then she sees her in the back door, and for some reason that the neighbor zombie writes itchy scratchy on the moisture of the door, and
what the fuck?
Yeah. And then breaks through the door and starts screaming itchy scratchy at Jill while attacking her.
Man, man,
it's so
why?
silly. Because they're like, oh, that the game,
right?
And then all the zombies because they go back to the mansion. Sorry, spoilers for a movie that, they go back into the mansion. And, what's it called? It's pitch black in there, not a light's on, and then all the zombies are, killing them mercilessly. Like, they're, ganging up on them and, attacking. I'm like, where'd all these zombies come from? I'm like, because there was only a few in the first game.
Yeah, well, they're just hanging out.
Yeah.
I mean, they turn into zombies. They're like, there's a big house, got to be a bunch of people there. And then they all got there and we're like, oh, well, this is embarrassing. There's no one here. I was supposed to wait for people. I don't know.
And then they recreate the zombie eating someone and turning his head slowly scene. It's pretty, I mean, like I said, the movie tried, but not hard enough.
Yeah. I just the thing is, the Resident Evil movies are fun in the same way that Underworld is fun, where you're like, oh, this action is completely over the top, really an example of what happens whenever you push filmmaking a little too far down the we're just gonna do this to look cool. It's like Advent Children had the same problem. Cool. In my opinion, Advent Children had the same problem where there's that sequence at the end where Cloud is going up into the sky, and he has progressively his teammates are he jumps off of Sid's trident, and somebody grabs him and chucks him further into the air. I was like, that's fucking stupid. Please stop.
Oh, dude, but I like that.
Yeah, but it's like dumb. Like the thing of like Final Fantasy VII is that like a lot of the aesthetics were grounded in reality, and despite like
Yeah.
you set up the rules of a world, and you're like, okay, for Final Fantasy VII, it's like, yeah, there is magic. You have to like use this resource in order to use it, but like there are cars. There's only one plane.
Yeah.
There's a spaceship that like is very experimental, so like there's all this stuff that like builds up like where the technology is, how the physics work, how things are like going okay. And like Cloud does a couple of things where he's like, okay, I can jump really high because I'm soldier, right?
Yeah.
And then Advent Children comes along and they're like, no. All of them can jump real high, but also they can throw Cloud for no reason. And also Tifa can get thrown against a window and just sit against the fucking wall for a while with her legs spread because it's a cool shot. And I'm like, man, it's cool, but like, God,
Dude,
just
I
could
get
have
it.
made something that like fit better. And it just, ugh.
I get it, but that fight scene is so good.
Yeah, no, they're all great. But it's like
the motorcycle fight scene with Cloud in the tunnel is phenomenal.
Jesus Christ.
I think it's good, especially like they're fighting Cloud and they're like, "Where's Mother?" And they're like trying to beat his ass while also like fighting on motorcycles. I think it's cool looking. I know Cloud rode his motorcycle and he's all about that fucking Harley Davidson life. So that's what they showed in the movie. Like him always being on his motorcycle, which was different than in the game. It looked a lot more advanced.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. But then you had the stupid fucking Kadaj, who is a remnant of Sephiroth.
God, yeah, the whole plot was just like...
And he had his...
Yeah, these are all pieces of Sephiroth. They're all potential Sephiroths if they come into contact with Genova. It just doesn't make any fucking sense. But okay.
And he uses a katana with 2 blades. So stupid. Like, how is that going to be any more lethal?
Of the things that, like... It's really just the physics nonsense that gets to me. Final Fantasy VII Remake had a couple moments like that too, where fucking Roche was introduced and he's just like flipping around his motorcycle like a stupid piece of shit. And I'm like, God, stop, please. You're ruining everything I like about this game, which is that it's like grounded and nice and cool. And like, you are ruining my immersion. Please leave, sir.
I'm trying to think in Final Fantasy VII, like, if there was anything that they did that was like that no one else could do. I mean, Cloud with one arm pulled him and Tifa onto a cliff. So that's one of the things. I'm like, God, he did it with like no effort at the very end.
I mean, he did it slowly at the very end of the game. Was like he was slowly doing it. So you're like, okay, Cloud's very strong. He was in Soldier, and it's the same with like
and he holds the Buster Sword all day. So
yeah, and the bombing mission where like the platform falls and then he like jumps out of the hole like in midair. It's like, okay, he's strong, he has good reflexes. Okay, these things make sense, but like you can't tell me that some motherfucker is like, oh yeah, this like half a pound, like half a ton fucking gigantic motorcycle, I'm just going to be able to flip around in all these different directions and change speeds and stop on a dime and it's all fine and I'm going to fight with a sword. Like, fuck you.
It's advanced.
It's just, this is physics here. That's how it works.
That wasn't what happened in the first game. Ooh.
Which, like, again, I'm fine with things changing. It's just, that's one of those things where, like, Final Fantasy VII to me is like a realistic thing, and that's like a thing that doesn't jive with it. And I'm like, this doesn't belong. Please leave.
Yeah, they got kind of really anime-y in the movie.
Yeah,
but when I like the way people moved, it was like really weird, like jumping really high and just moving a whole bunch and like all these cool things. I just, you just assume that when they're fighting, like, in the game, I mean, they don't line... Did you want them to line up and, like, wait for each other to hit each other?
Yeah, I mean... Yes. Kind of.
All right, Kadaj, your turn.
just like something that was like more realistic. Like just if someone jumped up 5 feet in the air, not 100 feet in the air, like that would be cool.
Well, he didn't jump up 100. They threw him up.
Well, I mean, it was a number of things. He jumped, and then he jumped off of something else in midair, and then he was thrown.
Yeah.
And then up in the middle of the air, like, okay, I'm willing to be like, listen, for your limit break, you can do whatever you want, but like, fuck, to get up there, can we have like any amount of stakes or realism or anything? Like, Cloud was like never gonna fall. It was just completely effortless. No one was having a hard time doing it.
Well, they have years of training. That's the excuse. It was a rule of cool. The scene looked okay. It didn't look that cool. It looked silly, but
but no, like, yeah, that's what they were doing. Is they were like, this is a cool scene. This is going to be a cool shot. Let's just put it in, which is fine, but
that.
just,
And that brings us back to Resident Evil, the new trailer. Like, I don't know if they're gonna have any of the old characters. It's current day, and people living in New Raccoon City, in an umbrella suburb, and then there's zombies, and then there's a liquor they show once, and then they have a big zombie caterpillar, and then they show the main character, the girl. I don't know what her name is, but she has a chainsaw. And it's really weird. It just doesn't feel like Resident Evil. And you could see that in the comments where everyone's just dunking on it.
Yeah, that was the thing that struck me most, actually, as I was looking at the comments, and like top comment was like, wow, this looks this couldn't look less like Resident Evil.
Yeah, dude. It really doesn't. Like, it looks like it could have been added to that zombie movie that came out, like 2 years ago, and with Batista in Las Vegas.
Yeah. I was watching a thing on that. Did you know that, like, basically, what did you watch that movie?
Yeah.
Okay, so you know Tig Notaro is in it. And
No.
she's a comedian.
Okay.
And she was not originally in the movie. Originally, I think it was Chris DiStefano. If I'm not mistaken, Chris DiStefano. But he got in. Oh no, it was Chris D'Elia. That's who it was. Chris D'Elia. Yeah, there he is. He got taken out of the movie because I think he had some like sexual assault allegations that came out about him. But the movie was almost done, and so they're like, "Well, what the fuck do we do about this?" And they ended up reshooting all of his scenes, cutting him out of all of the scenes that he was in. Yeah, there we go. And then they shot Tig Notaro's scenes all by herself. So the movie was done, and then they brought her in and like green screened a bunch of stuff with her, which is why if you watch the movie, you'll notice that Tig Notaro is in 0 scenes with other people. It's always like people talking at her, and then the camera flips and it's just her with like some background stuff, but she's like never with the other main characters, or if she is, they're like, she's like off to the side where they could easily just like put her in. They're like, she goes there, I guess. Which is great.
I just know that it was written badly, and they introduce a lot of things that they don't explain. Like the zombie hierarchy. There's a bunch of just melted zombies that are outside, like, melting in the Nevada sun. But they're all still alive. If they got water on them, they'd come back to life. I don't know how, but they are. But they can. There are zombie robots that they don't explain. You got the super zombies? The one in charge. And then the tiger is also a super zombie. And then you have the queen.
Okay.
And they like don't explain it a lot. And then they have like zombie meetings in a building.
Wait, what?
Yeah, like the zombie like chief, one of the guys, and the zombie queen like are all having a meeting with zombies, and like they're just grunting at each other and like getting all close, and then they find out that the queen is pregnant, and he's like telling all the zombies that she's pregnant.
I can't even fucking. Oh my god.
It's really weird. It's really weird. That means that them zombies was boning.
Yeah, or I guess that she was pregnant when she got turned. Is the other one, but like still, Jesus, man, like.
Yeah, and then like they do stupid things like they try to get a zombie to because they're going there to get a safe because they're like mercenaries hired by this guy to get his money out of Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're going to the safe, they're like, "Oh, there's a bunch of traps, and we need to trigger them. Well, why don't we get a zombie and have him walk through them?" But when they get a zombie, of course he's gonna turn around and try to get them. So then they're just like, "Oh, they're attracted to warm flesh." So then they get a zombie hen and microwave it. After they get a microwave from who knows where, microwave the zombie hen and throw it in front of the safe so the zombie will walk to it and trigger the traps. And yeah, no, it's stupid. And then there's this Batista also brings his daughter because the daughter's friend is trapped in Las Vegas because they were in a bunch of like live streamers who sneak into Vegas and live stream what's going on, but then it went south and now she's trapped.
Nice. I mean, that's kind of like a cool thing where they're like, oh yeah, we're urban explorers. We're going where like we're not supposed to go. Oh shit! Oop.
The thing is that the Batista's daughter just makes everything worse. She gets people killed, and she's just in the way. She like eventually gets everyone killed. She gets all the mercenaries killed, or not just her, but because there's a guy they sent with them who backstabs them and he kills people. But then they keep trusting him even though they saw him kill one of the people, and they're like, well, I guess we have to trust you.
We don't really have a choice.
Exactly. And then one of the guys gets locked into the vault because they're going to drop a nuclear bomb on Las Vegas. Because the government...
Oh, that's right. I remember that part of the plot because it was like a bank heist inside of a zombie movie, and the ticking time bomb is that there's going to be a nuke. Like, okay, that sounds kind of cool.
But it was just bad. It was like disjointed. Also, after the nuke went off, the guy came out of the vault and was just fine. And like he walked through the nuclear fallout and had nothing wrong with him. I mean, he was bit before. And then after, like, he gets on a plane, he starts infecting people.
God.
It's such a... It could have been a good movie. It had good ideas, but it was written and shot really badly.
Well, I mean, things like that are so easy to sell. Like, you have, like, an idea that sounds kind of cool, and you say, like, you know, we're not trying to make art here. We're trying to make, like, a fun movie to watch. Like a Transformers level, this doesn't need to make sense. It just needs to be cool kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then people want to, like, start mucking around and be like, no, where there needs to be this extra plot. There's this, like, zombie hierarchy, our hierarchy system. Like, who gives a shit, dude? Like, you're trying to do Ocean's 11 inside of, like, zombie Las Vegas. That's the movie.
Yeah.
Shoot that movie.
Well, the thing is, like, it was all a backstab because what they really wanted to do was get the queen and, like, get her head so that way, I guess, they could make their own queen and zombies that followed, like, whoever hired him because it goes for, like, a lot of money on the black market. It's really weird.
Wait, but isn't the queen like an autonomous like human that could like make her own decisions and stuff?
No, she's still a zombie. Can't speak or anything. Only just grunt and control, and like tell the zombies to go that way or whatever. And
Yeah, but like,
also,
how do they think that like getting her head would be like, oh, well, now we control the queen and
well, because
the queen will tell them to do stuff.
she was like one of the super zombies. If you get bitten by a super zombie, you become like higher in the hierarchy.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. So it's very weird like to explain because there's a lot of things going on with this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm not doing it justice. Like all I'm to just watch it because it's weird.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds like it's sort of too many ideas all at the same time.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's like really disjointed with a lot of like good action scenes, but also like Batista rides a horse like like throughout all of Las Vegas and makes it to a building where a helicopter was going to land before the helicopter does. It's really weird. I'm just saying it's a silly movie, but like Netflix has been making bad decisions lately. So
Yeah, listen, okay, so I'm of two minds about this. Number one, obviously the fact that Netflix has announced that they want to start cracking down on people password sharing and that they are going to start introducing ads at the same time as they've like raised the price of their subscription. All of those things are bad. And everybody also agrees that the fact that Netflix keeps like canceling shows that are good and people enjoy, also bad and weird and dumb.
yeah.
Okay. That being said, so many people after Netflix did their earnings and they were like, hey, we lost like a bunch of subscribers. A bunch of people were like, well, Netflix is in the coffin. Netflix is never coming back. This is the end of Netflix. Netflix is over. Which
Nope.
is probably the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. Like, what? Just missing context and like, do you really think like Netflix has a shit ton of money and they've got a bunch of employees? I hope for my fucking sake that they don't go under, because then there's going to be a bunch of Netflix engineers that are out there that are probably a lot better than me and they'll get paid more and I won't have a job.
Well, I mean, they could just jump ship to Hulu.
Yeah, if Hulu wanted to take them, but I guess Hulu's also owned by Disney at this point, so like Disney's got the money to do anything they want to. They're like Apple.
Yeah, honestly, if Netflix does go down, I would just see Hulu getting more rights to movies and or HBO at least. But I to tell you the truth, I don't watch a lot of Netflix anymore. There's just nothing on Netflix. When Stranger Things comes out, I'm gonna watch it and then probably I don't know what I'd watch on Netflix. Like
Yeah, there's like a number of like Netflix originals that I've watched or will watch. Like Nailed It, I love.
oh dude, All of Us Are Dead was fantastic.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, dude. They have a lot of Korean like horror movies or like Korean shows on Netflix that are all really good. But I don't think it was like Netflix's decision for them to be that good. But All of Us Are Dead is such a good zombie drama. Like if you have the time to watch it, then please do.
Yeah, they've got like a surprisingly pretty robust catalog of like foreign stuff. So they've got like a bunch of like Korean movies. They've got a bunch of anime, and like they've got like a really wide variety. They have a bunch of stuff that I would/do enjoy watching. The primary piece of entertainment that I currently consume though is Twitch. So like basically if I'm not watching Twitch, it's because I'm watching like Crunchyroll and watching a specific anime, or there's like a new show that I basically have to watch on Netflix, right? So it's like I'm not I'm rarely going to Netflix and like people are like, oh yeah, I go to Netflix and I like try to decide what to watch for 20 minutes. And I'm like, I can't relate.
Well, because they have a lot of movies in their catalog, but there's a lot of not good movies.
Yeah. You know, that problem used to be a lot worse because I remember my parents had, my parents were like, you know what, we should get a Netflix subscription. And so they got a Netflix subscription, and this was back when it had DVDs and streaming. So they were like renting DVDs and stuff. And they were like, "Oh, we've got the streaming thing. Let's check it out." And then I opened up the Netflix app and was like, "There's a bunch of movies that are on here that I've never heard of and that sound really fucking bad, actually." It took a long time for them to get a catalog of like good things to play.
Yeah, they had a bunch of like Walmart discount bin movies.
Yeah. There was like one like great God, what is it called? The Crusades, like the Holy War Crusades, for Christianity. They had like a movie like that was like kind of a horror movie, kind of like a monster movie, but it took place during the Crusades, and it was really bad. And we watched it because like we were just looking for anything to watch, and I was like, let's see if like they've got anything of quality. And then we like put that on, and I was like, nope.
The thing is, when Hulu came out, and it was doing more of like the shows like that you see on TV, or like just a better selection, cartoons, and they have a better selection of anime. They have all these movies that like you want to see. Like I'm looking at it right now, and the difference of Netflix. Like the one thing Netflix has is like long running shows that have been out for like ever, like The Walking Dead. Yeah. They have JoJo's on there. Now they have Cobra Kai. They have some anime like One Piece and Attack on Titan. Some of these other shows like like FX shows like Z Nation and Ash vs. the Evil Dead. But then I come over to Hulu, and immediately like they have like American Ninja Warrior, which is good to watch when you don't know what to watch at night and you want to fall asleep. You have like Hot Fuzz, Me, Myself, and Irene, the fucking Resident Evil movies. You got the Dark Side of the Ring, Wipeout, Golden Girls. You have cooking shows. All these things, like, and good cartoons, like from Cartoon Network, because they're part of that network. So you have like these really good shows, and Hulu also has really good originals, like The Handmaid's Tale, or The Act, or Letterkenny. So like, I keep thinking to myself, I'm like, why do I go to Net? Like, I always check Netflix when I'm bored to watch, to see what Netflix has, and I just get, first of all, their fucking interface is bad. Can never find anything on it. Like, it's like ensemble TV shows, and I'm just like, okay, but you only give me 5 like little choices of like clicking to the right. And then
they're like, these are categories that we think you would care about, and you're like, you were very mistaken.
I'm like, can I just see everything in one genre and go like list by list? But no, you can't do that. But you know where you can do that? In Hulu.
Yeah.
I
mean, the thing is, I think Hulu's got a lot of really good, like, it's on TV now, or, you know, it's like a popular thing to watch on TV kind of stuff. And Netflix has more originals and more like older things and more hyper popular things. So like Friends, Seinfeld, The Office, stuff like that. Although The Office left.
Yeah.
But like that's sort of the caliber of things that they have. So that's why people have Netflix a lot and like choose to watch it, is specifically for, you know, so for those like sort of, I would call it like bulkhead type things. Like this is the reason why you come to this platform. Whereas Hulu is like, you come to it not for any one specific show or any particular piece of content, but the fact that they have like a bunch of pretty good content that's like currently airing. So it's like new. So they have like a bunch of new stuff all the time.
Yeah. But they also have a bunch of like old stuff, like old movies and like old TV shows. And they know how to separate it, and they, like I said, the interface just feels a lot better. I feel like I can find better and newer things on Hulu rather on Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, the searching thing for Netflix is not great. And to be fair, there's not really a great way to search for anything on any platform. Because like, if I wanted to, let's say, I want to watch Hook. What fucking platform is Hook on? Like, I don't know.
I would just Google it, but 9 times out of 10, Google's like, oh, it's on this platform, or it's on here. Then you go there, and then you type in Hook and it's not there. And
Yeah,
then,
like they've figured out that like people are doing that, and so they're like, oh, we'll have a page on Hulu for Hook, and you're like, cool, and you go there, and they're like, this is some information about Hook, and I'm like, okay, great, can I watch it? And they're like, no.
you know what I hate on
you.
Netflix when you're like, oh, I really want to watch this, and you go to Netflix and you type it in, and it's like, well, here are things related to what you want to watch because we don't have it. And
Yeah,
like,
here's something similar, maybe.
And I'm like, but I don't want that. So what I'll end up doing is I'll just go to YouTube and I'll type in what the movie or show I want to watch, and then I'll end up renting it for like $1 or $2.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, YouTube's got some really good stuff too. My favorite thing is seeing newer like streaming platforms and knowing that they don't have anything. In particular, I'm thinking about Stars. I keep getting ads for the Stars streaming app on Facebook, and it's very clear that they've picked now to start advertising because they are like, oh, here's a meme including like Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and like, oh, did you know that Stars is a streaming app? Here's a funny meme. And very clearly you're like, oh, I guess is that where they're gonna put like No Way Home? And they're like, we just got Spider-Man Homecoming, and I'm like, oh, you motherfuckers, get out of here. And we just got this 5-year-old movie. Isn't that great? And I'm like, shut the fuck up, Stars.
I'm not a fan of Stars. I don't know who is. Even back in like the TV days, when you would get like HBO and they're like, oh, for like $30 more you can get Stars, and I'm like, is Stars gonna just play these badass movies all the time or have this badass content? They're like, well, no, but I mean they're different.
Yeah, they've got other stuff. You may like it. I don't know.
Dude, I don't know.
Cable, and I mean, it was like this way for a long time, but I think one of the reasons why people got so fed up with cable is like, you would be like, hey, I want like Cartoon Network, I want Comedy Central, I want Nickelodeon, I want HGTV maybe, and that's basically it. And they're like, okay, yeah, cool. You are gonna have to take the Lifetime and Hallmark and HGTV 2 and HGTV 3 and like all of these other channels, and we're gonna charge you like $60. And I'm like, can I pay you like 20 and you just give me the channels I want? And they're like, no.
Yeah, no,
that's
they're
not how
like,
this works.
Well, half of those channels are in this package, but if you upgrade to like the premium package, then you'll get all the shows you want, all the channels you want, and that's only $50 more. And I'm like, but I don't watch like 90% of these channels. And it's, man, I'm trying to, like, back in the cable days, it was so awful. Like, I know people are like, oh, golden age of TV, we had all this stuff. A lot of the shows back then were really great. Mm-hmm. You had a lot of good shows and you had a lot of good run and stuff. But man, I couldn't go back to those days. I love just opening an app or a web browser and being like, I'm gonna just binge this whole show, or I don't have to be up at a specific time, and I don't have to have the day off to watch a show at a certain time. Mm-hmm. All I know is it's gonna come out, and I can watch it either as it premieres, or I can watch it later when I'm like not in a hurry. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, you have to.
There's so many things like that too, where like there's so many advantages to just being able to watch it later. Like if you either can't make the time, you miss it or whatever. Like TiVo was the first thing to do that, where you're like, oh, I can record a show and watch it later. I can pause live TV, and that was like very novel. But you had to remember to do it. And I remember that my parents, they were on. They had come down to Austin to visit. Oh no! That's what it was. So they, what they were doing is they were spending a week in Houston and then a week in our hometown, And they did that back and forth. So they did like 1 week in Houston, 1 week in Taft. And then eventually they came to visit me for a little while. And then they were going back to Taft and they were like, oh, man, did you remember to record whatever show they were watching? Like, did you remember to record Swamp People on the on the DVR? And my dad's like, well, I recorded it in Houston. And by the time we get there, it will have filled up, and so it'll delete the old episodes. My mom was like, oh, no. And so, like, things like that, it was so cumbersome. And now it's like, oh, you just find the thing you want, and then you watch the thing that you want, which is great. Because, like, again, I was talking last episode or episode before last about like comedy specials just happened to me because I just had Comedy Central on. And that's like one nice thing about that is you're like, I don't know what I want to watch, but like I'll just put something on and it'll just be there. And you don't have to pick something, which to me is like a really big deal. But then, you've got too many choices now. And they're all on different platforms, so it's like, what the fuck do I want to watch?
That's why everyone shares their passwords with everyone. Like I have Hulu, I share with my mom and sister. They have Netflix and HBO, they share with me. So I have all of these platforms to watch everything on. You even share some things with me, like Crunchyroll, and I use the hell out of it. I use Crunchyroll like I own it. But I'm trying, like, back in the day, I loved watching anime on TV back in the day, only on Cartoon Network, only on Toonami. And I would love watching the shows that I liked, Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, but then they would show an anime that I didn't like Wolf's Rain, or fucking, what was that witch show? The show where, like, there was like a witch, and she had the power to turn people into like water or something.
Wait, what?
Oh, God,
power to turn people into water?
I have no clue. I watched one episode and was very upset with it.
That sounds like Fever Dream Alex Mack. That's the only thing that I can come up with.
Something like that. But whenever those shows came on, I knew that I didn't like them, so I wasn't going to watch them. So then the trick was, well, I got to turn the channel now and find something to take up this 30 minutes until I get to the good stuff again. So it was like either Comedy Central or like Disney or like whatever. I would just flip through the channels. And by the time I found something, it'd be like, well, now it's just like another 10 minutes and then I can go back. I didn't like that, but then I also liked that because I found stuff that I'd never seen before and like was entertaining, just like MasterChef when they used to show or not MasterChef, what was it? Iron Chef on fucking G4.
Iron Chef is great. Just not paying attention, not giving a shit about it content. It's great.
Yeah, you just you flip one night, you just flipping through and then you fucking find these two Japanese dudes like fighting head to head in a chef, and they're making it look all intense and shit, and then you get really invested into it. Like I remember once I found it, I started watching it all the time, and then up until they started showing the American version, and I really did not like the American version. Oh man, just like Ninja Warrior, I liked watching Ninja Warrior when it was Japanese only. But then they brought it to America, and I don't like the American version.
Did you ever see the show that Ninja Warrior came from?
What was it? It was the Ultimate something, right?
It's Unbeatable Banzuke.
Ah, dude, Unbeatable Banzuke. I remember liking that show, too.
Man, it's so good. So, like, for anyone at home, imagine Ninja Warrior, but for other activities. So they had, like, Ninja Warrior for RC helicopter flying, and Ninja Warrior for unicycles. Yeah. Ninja Warrior for, like, mountain biking, like, doing tricks and shit.
Or walking on your hands through, like, a maze.
God, that was so brutal. Like seeing people walk on their hands and then have to like grab doorknobs and like balance on doorknobs to get across. You're like, holy shit, your hands are incredible.
But you have to understand, these people train like a long time for this one specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like shows like that what like made me wish, man, I wish TV was like Japan, where they would just put everything on TV and hope it stuck.
Man, okay, so I will say, you say that TV in Japan is a lot different than that, especially now. I went there for a week, and during that week, my wife would go to work, and I would open up my laptop in our hotel room and turn on the TV and just hang out on my laptop and like have TV on. Number one, like even the nighttime shows, what it's turned into is most TV shows are like a panel show. So instead of just like having like showing a news story or whatever, they'll show this news story but have like four people on this stage that are reacting to it in real time and like asking questions and pointing stuff out. So like that's most of the content. But you do like, I did see one show where I was like, oh man, if this was a show in America, I would fucking watch it every day. And it wasn't a funny show. It was just an interesting thing where they said, they were like, yeah, we were looking on Google Earth around Japan and we found this really weird remote house. We were like, who the fuck would live here? And so we went to go find out who lived there. That's the whole premise, is like, they would go to like this place to find out like who's living in this house. They went to one. They went to a lake that was shaped like a heart. They were like, where the fuck is this lake that's shaped like a heart? That's cool.
Just interviewing people. They're like, why do you live in such a shitty house? And the guy's like, I'm sorry.
Okay. So that one, they were like, there were two houses like that. One was like way off, like on a hillside, and one was like sort of in the middle of the woods, like a few miles outside of town. And so the second one, they go there and they go to the town and they're like, hey, do you know who lives in this house? And they're like, no, I've never been out there. I have no idea who lives there. And they finally found one person who's like, oh yeah, it's this guy. He doesn't live there full time, but I think it's actually, we're like a couple weeks away from him coming here for the season. So we should, he'll be here. And so sure enough, they like waited around and they found him, and he was like, oh, it was really fucking cool. He was like, yeah, me and my friends bought this land back whenever we were in our 20s, and we all showed up and decided to build this house together. And, you know, we were all living here, like off and on. Like if someone needed a place to stay, they would crash here. But then eventually, like most everybody else, like got married and moved away. And I stayed here because I never got married. And this has just been my house. And so I live here, part time. And then I also have like another house over in like this other city that I live in. And like, it's things like that. He like walked them around, was like, oh yeah, fucking, whatever his friend's name were, fucking Joey Two Toes fucking put up this really shitty wall. And that's why like this beam is really crooked. And like, he was just going through stuff like that. And I was like, man, what a fucking cool show. That's awesome.
That almost seems like public access.
It does. Yeah. It was very much like chill public access type content. The
amount of
like, just going around and talking to the people around a thing. So like the Heart Lake, they ended up just like going to a bar and being like, hey, do you know like this lake? There's like a house by this lake and we don't know what that house is. And they were like, yeah, I don't know what that could be. I don't know. And then while they're asking questions, this other guy comes up and he's like, oh yeah, like I go up there all the time. I also was in like the 1978 Olympics for Japan. I'm like an Olympian skier. And they're like, holy shit, what's an Olympian skier doing out here in the middle of bumfuck nowhere? And they just sat down and talked to him for 10 minutes about like being a skier. It was awesome.
That's so funny. But like stuff like that, and like the amount of like weird shows that I've seen on YouTube from like back in the day, like prank shows are like, which item in this room is like food, like that kind, like weird shoes, like these weird shows. I like Japan is just like really like loose and off the handle with like their shows.
Yeah, their ideas for game shows are often very simple but extremely funny. Like Hole in the Wall is a good
Oh my
example.
god,
Silent
yeah.
Library started in Japan. Yeah, the one that you're talking about, where Is It Food? They basically bring like people into a room and they say like there are X amount of items in this apartment that are actually food, and so you just see people like very cautiously approaching the coffee table and like biting the leg of the coffee table to see if it's cake or some shit. It's awesome.
So there was FX was really cool about bringing shows like that on it. One of my favorite shows was MXC Ultimate Eliminations, which FX usually I'm not cool with like an Americanized version, but this one they showed just the old Japanese shows, but then they dubbed over it with just nonsense basically, because none of what they were dubbing over it had anything to do with the show or anything to do with anyone, and they made up names like they're like, all right, today's match is homeless people versus the rich versus snobby rich people, or it was like artists versus models or whatever.
Yeah.
And they had stupid name like who is it, Kenny Blankenship
and Vic Romano.
Yeah, and Vic Romano, and then their on-field reporter Gay Ledouche.
Guy.
It was Guy Ledouche, and he's French. Stupid.
I have some good news for you, Fee.
Yes.
There's a Twitch channel called Only MXC that plays only MXC 24 hours a day.
Oh my god, that's so good.
It's great. Like, the thing is, like, some of the jokes have not aged super well, but like a lot of it is just like, I'm gonna give this person a stupid name, and then you watch them get hit in the face with a ball, and you're like, ha, that's great.
They're like, yeah, we're gonna shoot this ball in the air, and they gotta catch it in the diarrhea river.
Yeah, they're like, you have to go catch the soccer ball inside. Yeah, and Kenny Blankenship and Vic Romano are like, yeah, our sludge today was provided by like the Acme Sewer Company.
Yeah, they're like, all right, these guys got to avoid these obstacles, or they'll fall into the medical waste, river, the toxic waste river, are the sewers that are emptied out from the RC park.
Yeah, where this is the runoff from like the plastic surgery center next door.
It's fucking so good, like. Yeah, and you're right. Like some of the jokes haven't aged well because, of course, this is FX TV for men. But
this was originally aired on Spike, and like
Spike TV.
The content is of its time, like 1999 to like 2004, where like it was just like totally acceptable to like make fun of someone being like, just to imply someone being gay was like the pinnacle of insult. You're like, oh, you're gay.
Yeah, and then
it's like and that's just what the humor was, and it was fine. Everybody was cool with it, except for gay people who were like, hey, can you not do that? And we were all like, shut up, gay.
Yeah, they gave like these people really gay names, and then when they had the guy dubbing over him, they had him a very stereotypical gay voice. He was just like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna make it.
Yeah. Ooh, I can see there's something inside of your pants. Get the fuck out of here! Stop it.
But that's still silly. Like, I'm not gonna say it's right, but it's still funny.
Man, it's so funny. Like, doing the research on like this show.
Takeshi's
the original one is called Takeshi's Castle. Yeah, and it's the same. It's the same person behind. If you've ever heard of Takeshi's Challenge,
the NES game,
the video game, it's same guy. So very wild.
You're telling me Kenny Blankenship made a game?
Correct. Yes.
Oh my god, it's stuff like that. Like, I loved old TV. Like, MXC was some good shit. And then, like, you would watch MXC, like, 2 episodes back to back, and then they would show 1,000 Ways to Die.
Yeah.
Fucking.
Oh, man. 1,000 Ways to Die. I completely forgot.
Thousand Ways to Die was such a good show, and honest, some of them I could believe actually happened, but then some I'm like, no, that's stupid. That didn't happen.
Yeah, this woman came home after being fired from her job, and she was so pissed off she manifested a demon that ate her.
There was there was an episode where there was like, they're like, we're not using real names for the sake of privacy, and they're like, Charlie liked to go and party, but he was different. He liked to have sex with big fat women. And the way he died when a fat woman sat on his face and suffocated him. I'm just like, God damn.
Ooh, okay. Okay.
There was like some of them, like they tried to make like these weird deaths like sexy, like the guy who died from having circulation cut off to his body, because he had a tiny wiener and he never got girls. So when he went to the club the next night, he tied a big kielbasa sausage to his leg with like medical grade tubing and cut off the circulation to his body and died.
To his whole body.
Yeah.
All of the blood was stuck inside of his wiener, and then he died.
No, he tied it to his leg, so like there was no blood.
Yeah. All the blood was stuck up. I mean, who hasn't heard of like someone dying of bloodfoot? It all makes sense.
Or you have like the memorable one where it's that guy swinging the chainsaw on a string.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff on there also about like bugs that would bite you and just fucking kill you instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that like Spike TV really was like there were like 4 good shows that were like really funny or like really interesting, but all the rest of the content was like, you're a man. Let's talk about fucking cars and golf and shit. And I'm like, God, can we not? Like, can you just play more MXC?
Yeah, so you had MXC and like Thousand Ways to Die, but then you had shows like Mansers, which was so
oh God,
stupid.
yeah.
And then what else? Oh my God, they were basically showing porn at one point, and it was just like porn from around the world, and like they would just censor it, and they were like, this is what's her name? She's like the top gravure fucking model in France, and she sits on balloons, and I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm like,
yeah, she's. This is where we talk about sitting on cakes, baby.
Yeah, this is where cake farts came from.
Mm-hmm. God, that's crazy. Like, I got out of the Spike TV game pretty early on because every time I turned it on, it was just like, it was that or, I had an appetite there for a while for like, I love the 90s and I love the 80s and stuff like that.
That was VH1.
Like, yeah, that was on VH1, but like Spike TV had like very similar content where it was like, we got a bunch of like world's dumbest criminals and like we got a bunch of comedians in a room to talk about like some stuff. I mean, Guy Code was like that too, where it was oh, we got a bunch of guys in the room to talk about like, well, where do you stand whenever you're at the urinals? And it's like, okay, this is funny, but also like I can't. I've watched this. You've done this before. Like this whole show is just rehashing everything. I can't anymore. Please stop.
Yeah, for a while Spike was just kind of like running out of ideas. They're like, oh, well, we've branded this channel as the channel for men. So of course we gotta show girls in like bikinis and and like bro code, which was stupid then and stupid now. Just like all these alpha fucking podcasts.
Yeah.
Which ours is not one of.
True. Yeah. Have you heard of Sigma male affirmations?
Yes.
I fucking love listening to Sigma male affirmations because they're so fucking, they're all like, nobody understands you because your brain is so advanced. You're a lone wolf. Everybody wants to be you. They're all jealous of you. That's why you have no friends.
Is that the one with the 2 black guys that bring on girls and just insult them?
No, this is just like it's almost like asthma, but it's just like affirmations about how fucking cool you are because you're a Sigma male.
You're so cool. Dude, you know what I wouldn't say it's a guilty pleasure, but watching pickup artists trying to teach people to be as cool as them and they're not cool to begin with.
Yeah, which to be fair, like, there's So Super Seducer is like that. The video game.
But I think it's self-aware.
Yeah, the second one is definitely self-aware. The first one like is a little self-aware, and I think it like kind of pokes fun at itself a little bit. But it takes itself seriously enough that whenever, like a woman friend of mine is like, the Super Seducer is pretty shitty because it's teaching you how to do like pickup lines and stuff, and like how to do like psychological manipulation and fucking gaslighting to people in order to get them to like you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but it's pretty funny though. You could do that with the second one because it starts off with like the host of it, the main character pickup artist man, showing up in a fucking tank. You're like, okay, this is not serious. Like this is, but the first one is like, here are these like psychological tests that you can try on someone as a conversation starter. You should ask them about like, imagine a big field with a horse in it. How big is the horse? And the bigger a horse you imagine, it means that you're afraid of commitment or some shit. Like it's all things like that where you're like, I bet if you give me your hand, I can point, like, I can read your lifeline and I can tell you how old you are. And if I'm right, you have to give me a kiss, but if I'm wrong, I'll buy you a drink. And it's like, both of these are outcomes that you want. Like, God, fucking please stop.
The one thing I remember from Super Seducer is it's like this girl is talking to you and tells you something. What do you do? And they give you like these options, and one of them is unzip your pants and put your finger through your pants and do a finger wiener.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they had like that. Those were definitely options in the second one. They had a lot more of those in the second one. The first one would have a couple things where like you're in a jail. Sorry, you're in a cafe. I don't know why I said jail. You're in a cafe with a woman. You're not flirting with someone in jail.
You're in a jail and the female guard comes to you. What do you do?
What do? You do the psychological test on her to steal her keys.
Yeah, do you turn around and flirt with the guy next to you?
Yeah, like it's like you're flirting with someone in a cafe. You've like met on a date. You could tell that this date isn't going super well, but you see like another cute girl walk in who's like ordering a coffee. What do you do? And it's like, maintain focus on your current date and try to salvage the situation by doing X, Y, and Z. B, just call off the date and be like, hey, I don't think we're vibing. I'm going to leave. And then fucking hang out. Or C, just get up in the middle of your date and start another date with this other woman.
The only reason I know about Super Seducer is because Video Game Donkey.
Yeah, baby. Those were good videos.
Yeah, those are really good videos. But like, man, how down on yourself do you have to be to hire a pickup artist? And what gives these pickup artists like, or pickup artists and alpha males in general, like the fucking gusto to be like, well, I'm like a prime choice man and all the women want me. Of course you want my advice. I'm like, you're not.
I mean, I think it's a number of things that all sort of like add together, because it's like, it's partially that these guys, they start off with this mentality of like, if you project confidence, if you're always confident and you're always like, the answer, you're the guy to turn to, you never waver, then like people are really attracted to that. So like, that's sort of the person that you have to be to like project to get people to believe that you were confident and you were like fun to talk to. But then you start to believe that, and then you're like, no, I really am probably the most interesting person at this party, and the fact that you're not talking to me is honestly your loss, and that's fucking, sad for you, but whatever.
It turns into that meme of the guy in the corner like, I bet these people don't even know that I'm a computer person.
Yeah, like... yeah, they don't even know that I'm the coolest person here.
Because, like, if you, like, Google some of these these male pickup artists, they are beyond silly looking. Like there's this guy who who does it in Las Vegas, and he has a big mohawk and he wears like these outlandish clothes, And he's like, you just gotta dress like me, and other girls will want to come and talk to you. Because he's not like American, like he has an accent.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a guilty pleasure to watch. Like, I don't want to say like these saps like pay them money to help them, but God, like, just to see them give bad advice and like try to do it in like IRL is like, I'm just like, ooh, I'm just like, you look worse than before.
Yeah, the thing is, it all sort of boils down to how confident you are. So that guy can get away with like having a mohawk and looking like a fucking hooligan because like, you know, he shows up and there's not an ounce of self-consciousness about him. Like he walks into a room and he's probably really funny. He's probably really engaging.
Oh, no,
he
this
looks
guy's
at
not.
you when you talk and like he makes you feel like, oh yeah, this guy's like paying attention to me and he cares about what I'm saying. And, you know, and like makes you feel like you're having like a pretty good time. And so eventually you just stop remembering that he's like wearing a suit with the sleeves that have been ripped off. You're like, whatever. It's an interesting style choice for him. I'm not going to begrudge my new friend of his like fashion sense.
The thing is, he's not funny. Like, he's creepy and like he's funny because of how unfunny he is. And he's just like creepily like telling women, like, he's like, oh man, you know, you want my number? I know you do. You definitely want my number, and you definitely want to go on a date with me, and I'm not gonna take no for an answer. Like, they always do that, and the alpha male guys do that too. They're just like, women are stupid, and they need to be told that they're gonna be doing stuff, and they only like guys with muscles and do manly things, like go outside and chop like firewood or fix cars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not true at all.
The definition of like what is and like is not like a manly and cool thing to do is, I don't know. I feel pretty lucky that we're in a time in which people realize that for the most part that's like pretty bullshit. I think if you like I don't know this for sure because there's definitely a bunch of people that like are in our area, like that we came from. There's definitely a lot of people where like we came from that are like, oh, what do you mean you don't know how to change a flat tire? Wow, what a fucking what a bad man you are. It's like, do I need to know how to do that? Shut up.
I pay money like every month for someone to do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Damn, you get your tires changed every month. Awesome.
God, no, I don't. You big stupid. I know how to change my tires. My dad taught me. But
nice.
I don't know how to do anything else.
Man, I don't even know how to change my tires. My tire blew out one time in like the back roads, and my dad came and was like, "Do you not know how to change a tire?" And I went, "No. Where would I have learned that, Dad?" And he was like, good point. And that was the end of it. He didn't offer to teach me. It's just like, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
That does make sense. Were you gonna teach me? No. Ugh. I don't even like you.
No, why would I? We're just gonna get this car towed. I don't want to do it.
Yeah. Ugh. No, my dad taught me. He was just like, he's like, your car's always gonna have a spare, and you want to at least know how to fix it. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And so he would always make me like take his tires off. When we were gonna like rotate the tires, because we would do it. He would always make me take his tires off, or like if we had a flat, or if we had to just rotate stuff. He'd always make me do it, and I hated doing it. But I'm glad he taught me, because my car, I did have like my tire was slashed, dude, at work.
Oh damn!
Like, I don't know if I messaged you, but like this was like last year, like the end of last year, that my fucking tire was just beyond.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, and I spent like 2 hours after work just changing the tire, but like I couldn't get the tire out from under my where my tire is, because it's like attached to that weird wire, and like I didn't know how to do it, but luckily my sister's boyfriend knew how to get it out, and I was like, all right, if you just get it out for me, I can do it myself. And then they came and did that, and I was like, oh, thank you, bye. So anything else, I don't know how to change oil. I don't know how to like change the headlight. I don't know how to like do anything. And some people are just like, well, why would I even date you? You don't even know how to do it. I'm like, do you? No.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you're for. You're the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like you're supposed to have been like preordained with this. You're like, let's like
I'm like, well, this problem.
let's like maybe think a little bit about the fact that you don't know how to do this either. Come on.
I'm like, well, this problem never came up before. Why would I know this? It's just some of the. I'm like, that's why I go to a mechanic. There's a lot of like instances that way where like even like hardcore conservatives are like, you got to be able to like fix your car and you got to be a handyman. I'm like, I'm neither of those. I'm just
Yeah.
I know how to do my own set of like things, but none are considered manly, I guess, or quote unquote manly. But really, who's like dictating these things? Like they're pulling their plays from like the 50s.
Yeah, there's a lot of things like that that are slowly starting to fall out of fashion, but you still find people that are like, you don't pay on the first date, you don't like whatever, like you don't know how to grill outside, you don't own a smoker, you don't know how to do like how to work a charcoal grill. It's like, shut the fuck up, God.
I mean, give me 10 minutes.
I know how to do other shit and it's fine.
Give me 10 minutes. I can learn how to smoke things.
Yeah, guess what? There's a YouTube video for all of this, and like I can learn how to do it, and it's fine.
My dad also taught me how to use a charcoal grill, so I know how to do that too.
Yeah, hell yeah. My dad kind of did. He was like, wait until it's white, and then put a steak on. I said, all right.
You got to put the charcoal in a pyramid, then you got to light them.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, and then just blacken everything. And wait till they're all crispy, and then pull them off.
Blacken everything. Make sure that it's very dry too.
Yeah, so that way you get the real flavor.
You really want to taste that charcoal flavor. You got to let it go for a long time.
Hell yeah, that's what it takes to be a man. Remember that.
Yeah, this has been Fee and Colby's man. What's a good name?
This has been Fee and Colby's weekly man lessons.
Oh yeah, there you go. Weekly man lessons. Yes, yeah. When someone tells you that you should know how to do something, ask them if they know how to do it, and if they say yes, go, well, damn, I got nothing. But if they say no, you go, well, then fuck you, and then you got him.
That's a catch-22. Oh shit! Like if anyone tells you, well, why can't you do it? You flip it back to them, and if they can do it, cool. Now you've solved the problem because they can do it. So like, don't let
perfect. We have one person with the knowledge. Easy.
Don't let gender disparage you because like, if like something's wrong with your car and like your partner, whether it be a man or a woman, be like, well, do you know how to do this? And if they don't, and then one of the partner does, well, the problem's solved.
Yeah. Or if one of them knows how to YouTube and follow instructions. Because that's literally all it is. I guarantee you, I could probably stitch up someone's wound if I watched enough YouTube videos about it.
Yeah. But also the thing is, if like, say, this all hinges on your car breaking down at your house and you having an alternative like route to go and get the parts you need, because like if you break out in the middle of nowhere, they can't be mad at you for not knowing how to fix it. How are you going to fix it? You don't have the tools or like the parts.
Yeah, I mean and also newer cars, I know that a lot of the cars that I have had recently, the Volt in particular, instead of giving you a spare tire, they give you a basically fix-a-flat and a pump. And they say, this should get you to the point where you can get a new tire. And it's like, well, what if I have a blowout? And they're like, well, then you get a tow truck, you fucking idiot.
you big dumb idiot. Jeez. What do I look like, a mechanic?
I had that happen we were it was one of the last times that I actually went out for a New Year's thing. It was me, my friend Brandon, and Cameron, and we were driving to my friend Brandon's house out in Baton Rouge. So we left from Houston at like 9 p.m. We were going to get there at like 2 in the morning or something. And so we left, and we get on this big, long fucking bridge. And as we get on this big bridge, my tire just explodes. And so I had to get towed to like a discount tire that night. And we had to go sleep at one of like Cameron's friend's house after Cameron wasn't even there either. Like it was like he was going to Baton Rouge, and he had left right before us because Brandon was riding with me. Mm-hmm. And so then like he had left, and then, you know, we're dealing with this flat tire, and eventually we're like, listen, we can't get the tire changed tonight, so we're just going to have to show up tomorrow. Can we stay anywhere? And Cameron was like, well, my parents aren't home, but I don't know, my friend Sabrina will probably let you sleep there. And we were like, okay. So we just fucking showed up at Sabrina's house, and we're like, hey, we're Cameron's friends. And Brandon was like, yeah, we met one time. And Sabrina was like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I guess you could sleep on the couch or whatever. We were like, yeah, fuck yeah.
That's so weird, honestly. But I mean, at the time, I probably wouldn't want to shell out for like a room or anywhere. But
yeah, I mean, for sure. And like, it was already like 9 p.m. and this was like either the night of or the night before New Year's. So like a bunch of hotels were like super full at the time.
Just to have like people, hey, I'm friends with a friend of yours, and he said it was cool if I did this thing. And you're just like, yeah.
She's like, okay.
But you're going to be gone tomorrow, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you are going to leave by like 10 a.m., right? Please leave by 10 a.m. Yeah, we woke up to her mom like coming in and like being like, oh, and then walking away, and then we heard her mom being like, who's that? Who was that in the living room? She's like, oh, you're Cameron's friends. They'll be gone soon. I was like, oh, sorry, we gotta go, Brandon. We gotta go right now.
We're never coming back.
Yeah. Hey, we're gonna go out and go get some donuts. We're gonna come back, and we thought we'd just like stay here for a few days. Is that cool?
You wouldn't mind, right? The car's gonna take longer than usual in the mechanic. So, hey, roomie. Just fuck. All right, we're already at time, and as much as I want to talk about what being a man really means, we're gonna have to put that off until next.
We're gonna get into the deep man lore next time.
See, we've only given you the prologue, but if you want to get into the deep lore of what it is to be a man, and what that entails, you're gonna have to buy my videos online of me explaining what it is to be a man. And it's only $400, but it's worth it because then you'll learn what it means to be a man.
Mm-hmm. And then at some point, we will have Super Man Deucer. That's going to be our new video game that's going to come out.
And then eventually, once you're all the way into this whole man supremacy, we're going to sell. And only to men, only if you're a real true man, and follow the video and play the game. Our official Go Getters Man NFTs. So, you know.
Yeah. Yep. We are gonna blast the internet with NFTs on how to be a real man, how to hold your controller right and not look stupid.
Yeah. We're gonna have
how to grill a sandwich.
How to not look at a wiener at a urinal. Just.
Yep. How to not look at a big delicious wiener at a urinal.
I've never had that problem. My wiener's the biggest.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah, we're on social media. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on other places. If you look, Go to his podcast. Give us 5 stars on platforms, every platform, all of the platforms.
All of them.
You could be listening to this on YouTube right now. If you're not,
oh yeah,
why aren't you?
If you're not a real man.
Yep, that's one of the rules. You got to listen to our podcast on YouTube.
Oh, stupid! I'm the original man.
I was the first one.
I was the first man on Earth, and I was so good.
George Adam Lucas, they call me.
I produced asexually.
By budding.
I came from the stars. I created God, and I am the first man. I'm the only man. Every man wants to be me. A small, pudgy man. The perfect body.
Yeah, this is. You may not like it, but this is what performance looks like.
All the space ladies love it. I get their spaceships revving. Okay, bye.
Bye.